Today is Saturday, August 3rd. We're about halfway through the Olympic Games in Paris, France. Team USA has had a lot of exciting moments so far. Women's gymnastics won team gold, and at age 27, Simone Biles set a record as the oldest female gymnast to win the all-around gold medal since 1952. Meanwhile, the men's gymnastics team won its first medal in 16 years. Swimmer Katie Ledecky broke the all-time women's record for the most medals, and the women's rugby team made it to the Olympic podium for the first time ever with a bronze. And those are just some examples. But what has it been like behind the scenes? On the ground in Paris, covering it all, is our guest today, NBC Sports sideline reporter and Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame inductee, Andrea Joyce. She has now covered 17 Olympic Games, including extensive coverage of women's gymnastics over the years, which she details in her new book, Legends of Women's Gymnastics. We spoke to Andrea Joyce right before she left to start her busy days covering the Paris Games, and you'll hear it in her voice. Even with more than a dozen Olympics on her resume, she says she still gets excited every time. And a quick note to thank our sponsor, Guardian Bikes, a safer and easier bike for kids. Shop Guardian Bikes this summer and save up to 25% off bikes, no code needed. Welcome to the Newsworthy Special Edition Saturday, when we sit down with a different expert or celebrity every Saturday to talk about something in the news. Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for our regular episodes, where we provide all the day's news in 10 minutes. I'm Erica Mandy. It's now time for today's Special Edition Saturday. Andrea Joyce, thank you so much for joining us here on the Newsworthy.
I am so happy to be speaking with you.
So I know this year will mark the 17th Olympic Games that you will have covered as a reporter. That is so impressive. Does it ever become routine at this point, or are you still excited about it?
It never, ever becomes routine. I mean, it's quite shocking. 17 Olympics, considering that I'm only 35 years old. I mean, how did that happen? The way that I describe it sometimes to people is that you get to an Olympics and it's almost like Christmas morning every day, because you just really don't know what's going to happen. And it never, ever loses its shine. I get on the airplane and I grin ear to ear until I get on the airplane to come home, because it truly is such a remarkable experience.
What are you most looking forward to about this year's events in Paris?
The greatest thing for me about the Olympics is that for every Katie Ledecky and for every Simone Biles, there are countless athletes, not just from the United States, from all around the world, who have trained their entire lives in relative obscurity for this one moment. Remembering that and celebrating that, to me, is what the Olympics is truly all about. And so what I always look forward to are the stories that we didn't anticipate, that we didn't know, the people that we get to know who we never heard of. That ends up being such a spectacular part of the Games.
Take us a little bit behind the scenes. What is daily life like for a reporter covering the Olympics?
So I did gymnastics for 20 years. For Winter Olympics, I'm the figure skating reporter. So those are set days. You know that you have competition almost every day. On the days that you don't have competition, you have practices. So it just depends on the time zone and when they've decided to have the competitions. They're pretty long days. My schedule will be very different this time around because I'm not doing gymnastics. I'm the diving reporter, but that will only be about half of the time that I'm in Paris. So on the other days, I will be on what's called the sports desk. And every day you get up and you walk down to the office and they say, okay, today it's the gold medal water polo match, or whatever, and we need you to go there. So you sort of get yourself up to speed and do the best you can. And sometimes you literally only have that day to kind of get prepared for that particular event. Although most of us, I would say all of us, have been preparing for many, many months and trying to be up to speed on just about everything that we can be.
So your new book is called Legends of Women's Gymnastics. Of course, one of the biggest legends to ever compete in the sport is Simone Biles. And you followed her career since the beginning, right? So what stands out the most to you about her?
So it's interesting because I've known Simone since she was 13 or 14 years old, when she competed as a junior. And so we've been there all along for her entire journey. What she has done over the years is quite remarkable. What people forget is her very first event as a senior competitor, she bombed. She was at a smaller event leading up to national championships, and it's that story is in the book. And she bombed it, but she came back from it. And the thing that I always think about with Simone is that she has this resiliency and she has this drive, this incredible determination.
And you've even interviewed Simone Biles back in 2021 after she withdrew from the competition, citing mental health reasons. What did you learn from her then, and what are you watching for this year when it comes to Simone Biles?
We had never seen twisties like that in a major competition. At least I had not. Some of the gymnasts that I've worked with say, yes, sometimes people don't really talk about it, but they've had it at these big competitions, but you don't really notice it. Maybe it wasn't as severe. She could have killed herself. That vault that she was doing, if she had landed on her head, I mean, it would have been an absolute tragedy and disaster. So what she did took a lot of courage, for her to say, I'm dropping out. I can't do this. This isn't safe for me, and physically or mentally. So she leaves. Then she comes back for the very last event, which was the balance beam final. And she got out there and she competed and she won the bronze medal. And I will never forget when she came up to talk to me, she had tears in her eyes and she said, there will be a special place in my heart for this medal. It's not gold, it's bronze, but for what she overcame and her ability to come back and do that was gigantic. And I have to believe that being able to do that probably helped her then make that decision to continue on and to come back again. I mean, it's remarkable though, right? When you watch her, that she's 27 years old and she's doing things now that she didn't do 4 years ago. She's doing things that she doesn't have to do. She does not have to do the difficult gymnastics that she does, but she chooses to do it. She's quite remarkable. Once in a lifetime athlete, I think.
Just going back briefly, in case someone doesn't remember or didn't follow it closely, what are the twisties for gymnasts?
If a gymnast is up in the air and flipping, they have a sense of space. When you've lost where you are in the air, that's when it's dangerous. And that's the twisties, when you don't know where you are. And you can imagine that would be the absolute most frightening thing in the world.
And do you think us average folks can even imagine the pressure that these athletes, including Simone Biles, feel when they're under the spotlight during the Olympic Games?
I don't think we can. I know that my heart stops every time a woman runs down that runway and gets ready to vault. I hold my breath because I'm nervous for them. And I can't even imagine. For some, being nervous is a good thing. A nervous kind of energy is a good thing. So they're all a little bit different, but boy, it's a lot of pressure.
Still ahead, Andrea Joyce shares the big diving event that's still to come in Paris that she says viewers will not want to miss. We'll also get into how international tensions can sometimes impact Olympic coverage. Plus, the moment from Andrea Joyce's very first Summer Games that she says perfectly captures what the Olympics are all about. That's coming up. But first, a quick break for our sponsors. It's that time of year when you might be going to more special events, whether it's conferences, weddings, or fancy nights on vacations. And for me, I used to dread wearing shapewear under a dress because it would roll up or down, feel suffocating, and just be uncomfortable. Thankfully, I found Honeylove, and none of those issues are a problem anymore. Honeylove has revolutionized compression technology for both comfort and function. It stays put, it uses breathable fabric, has thoughtfully designed details, and so much more. Now I actually look forward to having a reason to grab for my Honeylove shapewear. It makes me feel that much more supported and confident in every outfit. So treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/newsworthy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off, honeylove.com/newsworthy. After your purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. The summer vibes are just getting started, so shape your life with Honeylove. The Newsworthy is also brought to you by Ibotta. Are you taking a vacation this summer but dreading the cost? With Ibotta, you get cash back on all of your purchases. I figure I'm going to be grocery shopping and buying supplies for myself and my kiddo anyway, so I might as well earn cash back with each shopping trip. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Simply add offers in the Ibotta app, upload your receipt, And that's it. The money is yours. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. And right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code Newsworthy when you register. Go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code Newsworthy. That's IBOTTA, Ibotta, in the Google Play or App Store and use code Newsworthy. Now back to our conversation. And I want to move on to talk a little bit more broadly about the Olympics, but any other storylines you want to mention, anything about the diving competition that you'll be watching that you want to mention before we move on?
Well, the diving, there's a guy on the men's team, a kid from Carson Tyler, who is from Indiana, goes to Indiana, and he did a rare double where he qualified individually for the 3-meter and the 10-meter. Nobody really does that anymore because it's so exhausting. And so he was competing every single day. He didn't do synchro, but he was competing every single day, and he qualified for both. And for the men's 10-meter, the U.S. just had one spot. So he got that spot, and then he also secured one of the spots for the 3-meter. Watching how they've risen to the challenge, has been really fun. And I think that it'll be exciting to watch the diving for sure.
Obviously, the Olympics are in Paris. France has been experiencing some political challenges. So how can a host country's internal issues or even their cultural impact your job as a sports reporter, covering the Olympics?
I can honestly say that it has never, in all of the years that I've covered the Olympics, I've never really noticed. And now, obviously, during the pandemic Olympics, it was a little bit different. When we were in Tokyo, we were quarantined for 2 weeks before we could go anywhere other than our hotel and our venue where we worked. But when we were in Beijing, and perhaps that would be one where it was quite a challenge because we were quarantined in Beijing for the Winter Olympics for the entire time we were there. So we had on our credentials, there was some gizmo that we had to scan. So they knew where we were every single minute of every single day. It was different, but you just sort of go and that those are the rules of the game.
Anything you're watching for in terms of tensions in Paris this year, especially with wars going on? Have you heard anything, or how is that impacting the games and the countries involved?
Because of the issues that Paris has had, in the last decade with terrorism, I think that that they have upped their level of security, and there will be things that are going on that none of us will see. And I'm pretty confident that they'll have a good handle on it. But I try and keep my focus on the fact that we're there for this enormous sporting event. And if I did have concerns about it, I wouldn't go. I don't know anyone who has decided to back out because of what's going on in the world. Now, I will tell you that in Beijing, when we finished the Olympics and when Putin invaded Ukraine right after the Olympics, before the Paralympics, there was a lot of tension, and there were people who were scheduled to work the Paralympics who decided to drop out and said, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to Beijing. I'm not going to be on the other side of the world if World War III breaks out. So I ended up going at the last minute because they needed extra people. I came home from Beijing from the Olympics on a Monday, and I left on Friday to go back for the Paralympics.
How are you feeling about the Olympics eventually coming here to the U.S. again?
I think it's going to be very exciting for LA. I think that's something that so many folks are looking forward to. And of course, I have a lot of friends who competed in the last games in LA. And I think to be able to have an Olympics again, when you've done one so successfully like they did in 1984, I think that people will really, really love that.
Final thought or takeaway as we wrap up today?
So my very first Olympics was 1988. I was working for ESPN in Seoul, Korea. And I was staying in a hotel room that did not have a window, and the air conditioner was blowing hot air, and I was up all night. I was hot. I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm watching team handball, and it's the Korean women, the underdogs, and they won. And they were never supposed to win, and they're weeping. And I'm weeping, and I don't understand a word the announcers are saying. And they're doing these interviews, and I'm weeping through the whole post match. And to me, that was one of my favorite Olympic memories, because it truly, truly, truly encapsulated what the Olympics are all about. These moments that are so unexpected, even if you don't understand the language, it can be a remarkable, remarkable thing.
Well, thank you so much to Andrea Joyce for sharing her behind-the-scenes experiences. Be sure to check out Legends of Women's Gymnastics, her action-packed book profiling the greatest women gymnasts of all time. Thank you so much for tuning into the Newsworthy today. We'll continue to provide updates on the big moments from Paris and all the other news you need in our regular 10-minute news roundups every Monday through Friday. So, of course, we'll be back on Monday to get you ready for the week. Before we go, thanks again to our sponsor, Guardian Bikes. From the Sure Stop braking system to the Just for Kids sizing, it's our family's choice for a reason. And my 3-year-old is learning to ride his Guardian bike so quickly and loving the process. We have all been so impressed. Guardian bikes can be ridden using the balance bike method and then transition into a pedal bike. Shop Guardian Bikes this summer and save up to 25% off bikes. No code needed. Plus, receive a free lock and pump with your first purchase after signing up for their newsletter. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks again for listening and have a great weekend.